What's up, guys? Welcome to the training on the 3 steps to booking your wedding consults. My name's Chad DeBlasio. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer from Central Ohio. We do small business coaching and specifically with the area of photographers to help you guys become successful. Our goal is to help you realize that dream of those 10K months so that you can really start living out your passion and your purpose. Implementation and strategies, and this is one of those. A lot of times when we go into our consults, I think people don't have any idea what to do other than hope that they like you. So one of the things that we always tell our clients is to take the lead in the initiative, to understand that if they have inquired with you, they looked up on your website, they checked you out on Instagram possibly, and they sent you an inquiry, that in and of itself is a good indication that they want to work with you. Now, you can either take that as they need further proof to make a decision, or you can take that as this is the direction they want to head, I'll help them get there. So the first step of booking your consults is lead the way. So through this next couple minutes, I'm going to try to keep this under 20 minutes for you, but the 3 steps that we try to keep all the consults, all the booking, basically any sales, is kind of under these 3 steps. One is that we lead the way, and that starts with the first contact they ever have with us. The second is that we kind of celebrate them. This is not an opportunity for them to say, "Oh man, Chad, you're so awesome. We want to give you all our money." What people really, this is a Zig Ziglar idea, is that you can be the most successful you could ever be if you just help everybody else get what they want. You'll have everything that you'll ever want. And so this is really kind of under that guidance, is that the best thing that we can do for people is to help give them reasons to trade their money for what we do by helping them value what we do, and the biggest value that they're going to have in their lives is themselves. So the second part, the third part I should say, so the first part is lead the way, the second part is kind of celebrate them. The third part is similar to the celebrating them, is kind of ask them permission or let them ask you to work with you. So I'll explain that a little bit further, but kind of those are the 3 steps. The first is to lead the way, the second is to celebrate them, and the third is to kind of let them ask permission, or you ask permission to kind of move further. So in lead the way, when we start off, we're starting off at the first contact, right? So that includes the copy on your website, that includes the things that you message on Instagram, the ways that you kind of project your business. But from the very first time that they contact you, they need to know that you're in charge and you know where you're headed. Now, that is not to say that you have to be like, listen to me, I know what I'm doing. But they need to have the understanding that you know where you're headed. And the reasoning for that is because if they don't trust that, it's kind of like going into the woods with somebody. If you're following someone into the woods or through a path that you think that they know, and they get to a point and they say, you guys want to go this way or do you want to do this? It's kind of at that point you're like, I don't want to follow you anymore. People know this intuitively, and I don't think they even connect with this sometimes, but if someone is not saying to them, this is what we're supposed to do, this is what we're going to do next, this is where it's going to head, and then you'll have a choice to make the decision of whether you want to work with us or not, then they don't really know what's next and what to expect. There's a couple points that everybody has to have in order to reduce friction, and that's one of the major ones, is they have to know where they're headed. The next step in leading the way is saying, here's how this goes. To get them to a consultation, whether that's over the phone or online or in person, you need to say, here's how we do business. With our business, one of the things I say is, when we book your wedding, we take $1,000 down, and that reserves your date. Okay, you can pay that in cash, credit, or check, and that is due at the consultation. So when we come to the consultation, that's an expectation we have already set, is I'm leading the way in that and letting them know they need to be prepared. You've probably had this lots of times where they get there and you explain everything and they go, yeah, well, we need to think about it. Or we didn't really bring any way to pay. We didn't really know what we were getting into. Is one of the things that has helped so many of our clients just book that night is simply changing that. Hey, when you get to the consult, we're gonna basically decide your details, and then we're gonna put down your retainer. Okay, so make sure you bring your credit card or your checkbook or whatever you need to pay with. I always suggest people use their cards that they get miles or bonus points or whatever back on, because it's a cost of doing business for me. If they want to pay for a check, that's awesome, but most people want to use some kind of charge or credit. Hey, I'm on your team, man. Why don't we use something that you get bonuses for? So lead the way with that. Lead the way when they get there. You say, hey guys, I'm so excited about the consult specifically. This is how this is going to go. I'm going to ask you some questions about you and your love story and your relationship and the things you're excited about. And then you'll have an opportunity to kind of hear what we do and how I think what we do could best suit you. and then you'll make a decision on booking tonight. Okay? Great. That gives them an understanding of where they're headed, what they're going to do, what their responsibility is, what your responsibility is, and they'll kind of know. It's like, you know, when you get there, right? I always talk about it like a destination. I know when I get to Cincinnati or when I'm getting close, because I start to see Kings Island, and I know, like, oh, I'm in Mason, I'm almost to Cincinnati. And then when you start to see the skyline, it's like, oh, we're getting there. Well, if my destination is Cincinnati, or let's say the stadium, the Cleveland or the Bengals stadium, I don't know why I'd ever go there, but it's really recognizable right next to the Red Stadium. Maybe that's my destination. I know when we're getting there. I will know when this is supposed to be done, right? There's no guessing on either one of our parts. Selling should never be that kind of like, oh, I got him. It should be like, hey, this is what we planned on. This is what we're doing. How do you want to pay for it? Okay, so you're leading the way in that consultation when you first come through. Is you set this up, is you say, here's what we're going to do. Sound good? Okay. The next part is that celebrating them. So this can happen on the phone. It can happen in person, but this is all about not the wedding. I try to really stray away from the wedding, because the more that you focus on the wedding, the more that they tend to justify only what they're spending on how much they can kind of idealize using towards one day. And that's a really easy no. That's a really easy way for someone to basically to make a no decision, is like, it's one day. Like, I don't really want to go all crazy on the wedding. But if you can help them kind of understand that this isn't about the wedding. Tell me about how you guys met. Tell me about, I'd love to hear more about what made you want to propose to her or him. I'd love to hear more about your guys' family and what we're really celebrating in bringing two lives together. So some very easy, simple questions are tell me a little more, or tell me the story about when she proposed, when he proposed, when you decided, hey, when did you know that she was the one, or that he was the one? When did you know that this was going to be your partner, that you wanted to live life with? And then why? Like, what are some of the things that she does that are special to you? I just talked to a client yesterday, and they were talking about, she literally said, I write stuff down. I kind of take notes as we're doing this. And she said, he's the calm to my storm. Like, things tend to be a little crazy for me, and like I get overly emotional, and like, he is my calm. And I was like, what does it mean to you to find someone as another human being that literally gives you peace? And she said, it's incredible. Like, it's why we want to get married, right? Them celebrating that, then me being the one who kind of leads and ushers that in as the celebration of what we're doing. It's a dual purpose, right? Is not only does it help them value what they're actually doing at a higher level. We can talk about money and how that works in a little bit, but it helps them value it at a higher level. Is it brings you along with it. Is you're now part of the reason they're valuing these things, and part of the reason that they are excited about this, which ultimately, inherently, makes you more valuable, right? So when we're looking at bringing them along, celebrating them, celebrating the things that they are doing, this is not about the wedding. The more that you make it about the wedding, tell me about what you have planned for the day. Tell me about your dresses. Tell me about your bridesmaids. Tell me about where you guys are going on your honeymoon. All that stuff is totally cool, but you have to realize you're limiting it to this one expansive time, this one thing that they're celebrating. When really what we're doing is we're celebrating their life and the fact that they're happy, that they're alive, and they've found somebody else that they want to celebrate life with and be part of their experience as they write their story, right? So when you celebrate them and you lead the way into that, what that naturally brings them to a point is where you say, and I say this very specifically, would you like to know more about what working with us looks like? Now that does several things. The very first thing, I think probably the most important, is that it gives them permission to allow you to move forward rather than you kind of pushing your will on them. That in and of itself is a buying decision, right? It's the same as like they made the decision to contact you. You didn't reach out to them. It's kind of like in a child-parent situation is your kids need something from you, and so they ask you for something, or vice versa. Maybe you ask them to do something. Is you're the one in charge, and you feel like if I ask them for something or I need something from them, it's going to benefit me when it happens. Does that make sense? So we get to this point after we have led the way to this. We said this is where we're headed, this is what we're going to do, and this is kind of the ways that you'll know we're getting there. And then we've celebrated them, and we've really kind of lifted them and helped them value themselves and what they're doing to a higher degree than just like, I've thought about this and I've made these decisions, or someone else said that this is what we should do, or these are the things that we said we wanted to include. Is like, it's part of the reason we don't just throw a price sheet out is I don't really know what you want. And I don't really know how to tell you what you want until I know more about what you want. So when we get to this point, I've kind of got a pretty good understanding from taking my past 12 or 15 years of doing this with people, and how weddings are similar across the board as far as like, they may be less hours, they may be more people, less people, we're doing this certain places or whatever, but kind of the flow of the day is similar. That gives me an understanding of like how I'm going to quote them, basically, how I'm going to say, this is what I think would be great for you, right? So would you like to know more about what working with us looks like? Yeah, we'd love to. So basically, the next 2 sentences is my pitch. Now, I know a lot of people do consults, and probably one of the reasons you're looking at this training and saying, it kind of like, it's either I don't know what to do, or it seems like we really click and we really get along, and then they're like, we went with somebody else who was cheaper, or we went with somebody else, period. We spend a lot of the time in the consult talking about us and why they should like us, and kind of almost this like pitching of like, oh, please take me. It's a lot different, and it feels a lot different. I think of it like this. Like if you go to a restaurant and you sit down and you order, and the sommelier, the waiter, or the waitress is kind of like helping you make that decision. Like, hey, what's your favorite dish? When I worked at an Italian restaurant, I would tell people, the chicken parmesan here is incredible. They hand bread the chicken for the day. So like the chicken that you're eating didn't come in a truck and it wasn't refrigerated and freeze dried and reheated. It's hand breaded from chicken that they flattened here. And it's breaded with a Parmesan cheese and a mozzarella. So it's like it's got this gooey, cheesy deliciousness that's before it's fried. And then on top of that, our red sauce is made in-house. So it's got all of this incredible freshness to it that makes it way above chicken parm, right? Along with that, you get a really fresh, delicious house salad or a Caesar salad, and our house-baked bread, which everybody goes crazy over because we had the toasted garlic chunks, or toasted garlic chunks that we would spread the olive oil and vinegar, or olive oil and seasoning over. So you're dipping this fresh baked crunchy bread with this delicious moist center into this toasted garlic chunks. So it's like crunchy, crispy little toasted garlic and oil, and it's just like, it's the best beginning to this meal, which you just know is going to be delicious, right? Now, that is way different than someone approaching you on the street and saying, hey, you want some food? Hey, you want a hot dog? Hey, would you love this chicken parmesan? Like, it's not that they would never buy it, and it's not that they weren't even hungry. It's different when they come to you and they say, I would like what you have. Tell me what's the best, right? So that's what I think about this situation is when we accurately have led the way in and told them kind of how things are going, it puts them at ease, right? They know what's happening, they know what to expect, and they know what they're supposed to do. Have you ever sang in a group? You ever been in like a church congregation or something, and like you're singing a new song and you don't really know the words and you don't know like how it goes next? It's like everybody's quiet and it's awkward and weird. But then when everybody knows a song and everybody's like sung it before, and it's something they love, or they say at least they know what to do, man, people sing loud and they join in, and what actually happens is they can experience it rather than thinking about what's going on. That's kind of what you're doing with this process. You're allowing them to make a good buying decision, not by conning them into something, but by removing all the distractions that get in our ways. Removing the barriers of what they're thinking and focusing on, because it's mostly money. And people get weird about money because they think it matters. But when you help them understand that what they're spending money on is the thing that matters, and the money is just part of the recipe, then it gives them freedom to kind of place it in its place. It doesn't need to be the driver. It shouldn't be the driver, because you can't make really important decisions based on how much things cost. You should know that. And your value should not be tied to what things cost. And so you being the leader of this conversation, you help usher that in, right? You lead the way to a different destination than maybe what they thought. You give them a reason to celebrate and to enjoy and to honor, actually like value what they should be valuing, and money is a part of it. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying it isn't the reason. You give them a reason to value it higher, maybe $10,000 or $20,000 worth of value, then spending $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 on it is like you get a really good deal. They understand actually probably more of what you normally understand of like how valuable this stuff actually can be in their life. If you're giving away your services at $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000, and you're getting a lot of people who kind of push back on that or like, I'm not sure. That's what they're telling you by telling you that it's too expensive is they don't have enough reason to justify spending it. They don't have enough of an excuse to trade you their money for what you're asking or what you're offering them, right? So when we get to this point where they have given you now permission to continue on, don't just throw the prices at them. Tell them what you do for them. One of the things that I have realized in offering wedding photography is that we do a lot more than just take pictures at your wedding. I know that your wedding is a celebration of the life that made you want to get married. All the things that you've talked about, Michelle, all the things that you talked about, how he calms your storm, and William, how she really is the first person that you saw yourself living life with, not just being married to. I know that your wedding is about that, and so what I know art does is it amplifies all of that, right? It comes along beside that and it says, not only is it beautiful, it's incredible and so important, right? And it's not because it's so special, but it's still really important. Your life is the most important thing that you will ever do. And so I want to come beside that and cheer that on and show you all the beautiful things that I see in it too. And from that, give you tangible ways to connect with that more often, like artwork, like albums, like things that are in your face, in your hands, that says this actually is true. Because life will really try to convince you that it's not, right? You guys know that. You guys know that. You know that life will really try to beat all the good things out of you, and not because life is negative. It's because it's really hard to concentrate if the things that mean the most to you are not constantly in your face, because there are so many other distractions. Not necessarily even because it's an evil world, but because there's so many other distractions. There's so many things that we can waste our time on. This is your opportunity to join with them in saying there are some things that are worth talking about more, spending more time on, spending more money on, because the things that we spend our money on and our time on, we tend to care more about. This is a way for you guys to help them care more about the things they are telling you they want to care more about, right? So, kind of wrap it up. Trying to stay on that 20-minute mark. We're right at 18 minutes. Help people get to the destination they really want to get to, which is they want to book you. They just need more reasons to justify it, right? Their interest has peaked. It's kind of dating. It's like a dating situation. Is they're courting you, right? Or you're courting them. It's like they're like, hey, I think I kind of like you. And they send you a message, or they call you or text you. Like, hey, we're interested in what you do. Take that for what it is. They're interested. They want you. Now the task is to show them how to get there. You lead the way. You say, this is how we do business. We set things up for a personal consult. We call on the phone. We talk to you. We really want to make sure that, not that we're right. Stop saying that we're the right fit. Like, you'll know if they're the right fit for you. And I don't mean ideal client. What I mean is you'll know if they're the kind of people that you can help get where they want. Mostly by if they're willing to go where you lead them, or if they're willing to explore what it is, rather than just being like, nope, this is how much we want to spend, this is our day, tell me what the prices are. Like, you'll know if you can help them or not, basically. Lead that way for them. This is how we do business. This is how our consults go. This is what you can expect from the consultation. The night of your consultation, we'll settle out the details of what we are going to do for your coverage, and we'll secure your retainer and your date with a $1,000 retainer, right? You can pay with cash, check, or credit. They come, they're ready. That's how you book lots more bookings than you had been before. But even with you'll get we need to think about it. Awesome. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to celebrate you, and I'm going to give you permission, or you're going to be able to ask me for permission. We give a 48-hour bonus in our business. If you guys can make a decision in the next 48 hours, here's the link. Okay? If you can't get them to put down their commitment, meaning they won't give you their credit card or pay that night, then give them a time frame, because you're telling them this is how this works, right? My time is important. Your guys' time is important. I don't want you guys to go home and think about it for another week. I know you already making the decision. You already know what you want to do. You just kind of have to sit with it a little bit, which is fine. Everybody's got their process. I'm just going to tell you, this is how we do things. Over the next 48 hours, you're going to have the chance to secure your booking by going to this booking site and clicking through and paying your retainer. Now, if you choose to do that in the next 48 hours, I'm going to make that a little bit more of a bonus for you. What we do is I include $400 in credit towards your session, your wedding day, all those kind of things. So they can use that on part of it would go towards an engagement session and then some product. They can use that towards their album. If they get $1,000 credit in their package towards their album, they can now get $1,400 towards credit in their album, which is the cost of our base album. So it gives them an incentive to make the decision they probably already want to make anyways, but it feels like, oh, okay, we were gonna make a decision. Eventually, this gives us a time frame. It lets you know, it lets them know this is how this process works, and usually that's the text the next morning. Hey, we're gonna go ahead and book. I paid the retainer. Here it is. Whatever. Now, this is never a guaranteed, obviously, but these are things that we've implemented in our business that have not only made most of our bookings 70 to 80%, we're like right around 75% booking, is made those bookings happen more frequently with more consistency, with more understanding, but it has removed all the problems of why people didn't book and why people didn't come in for the consultation, or when they came to the consultation. It's like all of the things in my contract that have been added because I had issues. This has removed a lot of the issues so that it flows more smoothly. And the biggest reason is because of that structure. They know what to do. They know what their part is in doing. They know where they're supposed to be headed. And you continue that kind of leadership throughout the process with them. And these are the clients that thank you for making things easy, right? You probably do some of these things naturally anyways, but this gives even you a structure for thinking through things and filtering through things, because you don't need to spend your brain energy on thinking and your bandwidth on thinking on how to please these people. This is what people love in general. If you think through any buying situation you've gone through, the easier ones were probably very similar to this. Is you thought you had a problem, or you thought you had a solution to a problem that you had. This is the washer that we want. And then you went and talked to someone, maybe you even talked to one of your friends, and they sold you on something better. Because what they did was they said, hey, we made a decision that was different than that, and here's why. What do you guys want? And they helped you make a decision for yourself that was a better decision, even though it wasn't what you thought you wanted. Does that make sense? So hopefully that helps. Those are 3 key points I think that really make any booking, consultation, sales meeting go so much smoother. We offer personal business coaching, one-on-one mentoring. We do a 60-day course called Momentum, and we put you in with a bunch of other photographers and business owners and really help you get that next step to your business. So if that's something you're tired of struggling with, is what you're supposed to be doing, or you're not even anywhere close to those $10,000 months that are predictable, I'd love to talk to you. Shoot me a message at chat@deblasiophoto.com. Shoot me a Facebook message. But I hope this helps. I hope this moves you forward a little bit and gives you some security and helps your businesses really grow and thrive, because those are the things that I'm passionate about. Because I know when your business is growing and thriving, and you're understanding that what you're doing is important and meaningful for people, that same thing is it kind of removes some of those distractions that keep you from really living out your full potential. So God bless you. I hope this finds you well, and enjoy the rest of your week.